Hey guys, Warchild V1 here with some tips and tricks in the No Man's Sky world. If you're having any trouble getting around or anything of that sort, then this video may be for you. Now keep in mind, there may be spoilers. Actually, there will be spoilers later on in the video. So go ahead and be aware of that. I'll let you know before the major spoilers happen. But in the meantime, this is some tips and tricks that may help a lot of newcomers to the game, or even if you're a veteran, I may have some tips here that could help you. Number 1, follow the tutorial. At the beginning of the game, they give you a quick tutorial, probably your first 15 minutes of the game. As long as you follow it, you will have a good time. So of course, right away you want to repair your ship. The main things you need are herdium, zinc, and carite sheets, which are made out of iron. So that will be your number 1 thing right when you start the game, is collect this stuff. Iridium is usually a squared off looking tower of blue rock, this stuff right here. You need to collect enough of this, as well as enough zinc and iron to get off of this planet. And once you have actually made it off the planet and you're in outer space exploring, here's the part that I personally missed my first time going through the game, my first multiple hours. Once you're in outer space, it tells you, Starship Scanner, press L3 to activate Starship Scan. Well, of course I did this, but I didn't understand this part. Navigational data received. There's an incoming signal. You're supposed to go to this beacon right here. Go to the beacon. If you do not, then it's going to be more of a pain a little bit later on. Once you get to the beacon, you want to go up to it and hold your use button or whatever to actually activate it. Sorry, I was busy getting some more fuel for my ship. And that is not the beacon, that is a light. There's the beacon. This beacon will take you to the next part of your tutorial. So you take it to this outpost on another part of the planet. Most of the time the outpost is actually a building that you go up to, but in this case it looks like it was out in the water. Either way, just land your ship and go to the outpost, and it will give you what you needed to move on in the tutorial. In this case, there was no actual outpost there. There we go. So what we just now got was technology to build a hyperdrive. That will actually help us get out of this solar system and into another. But now we have to actually build the hyperdrive. That's the next part of the tutorial down in the bottom right side. And all we need is iridium and a dynamic resonator. You're going to want to go and farm the iridium and go buy a dynamic resonator in the trading station. I mean space station, you know what I mean. But first things first, what I didn't do here is you need to go mine extra junk. That way you can sell it and get enough money to buy a dynamic resonator. It's going to cost you around 30,000 units. So go back, mine some extra iridium, and come back here, buy it, and then you can build your very first hyperdrive. So next time you go to a planet, there's actually going to be a signal booster that you need to go find and locate. This is another part of the tutorial that you need to do. A signal booster is this thing over here with the red beam coming out of it. So to use it, you will need to make a bypass chip. Bypass chip requires plutonium and, what is it? Plutonium and iron. So build a bypass chip, use this, and it will point you towards some alien technology. So there's a drop pod detected. Let's get to that drop pod. So this is your very first backpack upgrade, basically. This is an upgrade for your suit that will give you 1 extra slot. You will find these on planets at random, and the first one is free. After that, they slowly work their way up, but they're actually pretty cheap at the beginning, and it takes a while for them to actually start costing a lot of money. But now you have 1 extra slot in your inventory. So after all that, now we have to go follow signal that takes us to this life form. And this is very close to the end of the tutorial. I'm sorry that I'm showing you step by step, but I've had a few people say, tutorial, what tutorial? This is the tutorial. You just have to follow it and you will get all the items you need to be able to start warping to different solar systems. So you talk to this guy and he will actually give you, what is it, antimatter, I believe? Yes, antimatter. So with that antimatter and some thamium, you can actually craft your very first warp cell. Dun dun dun, dun dun dun. Now you want to go put it inside your hyperdrive, like so, and now we can warp to our next solar system. That is basically the whole tutorial. You just follow all the stuff it says to do, and it will really help you move on. Without it, I didn't know how to build a hyperdrive. It took me forever to figure that out, that I needed to go back and go to that beacon. So there is tip number 1. Sorry it's such a long tip, but the rest are actually going to be useful. So tip number 2, first real tip I guess you would say, is when you melee, it makes you move forward a little quicker. So if you melee and then hold your jetpack, notice how much faster you move. It's faster than running and everything. So this is one way to get around a little bit faster when you're on the planets and you're not on in your ship flying around. And I found that if you actually run melee and then jump, you go pretty damn quick. And see, you can watch this time just tick away instead of it really being the whole 45 seconds that it was going to take. It says about 15 seconds? Nah, it only takes a couple. So that is tip number 2. Tip number 3 is a real small one, but basically refilling hazard protection. You have choices of using zinc or titanium, or you can create shielding shards, shielding sheets, or shielding plates. These only require iron. So once you get the blueprints to make these things, you can actually repair all of your hazard protection with just iron. That way you can save your zinc and titanium for other better things. That's just another quick tip that I figured out fairly early on, but it's really useful to save those other elements for better stuff. So tip number 4 is an easy way to find a better ship, or just to find ships, period. You see this building? Remember what it looks like. It's got a big tower in the middle. It's got only one room in it. There's a way to find ships with these buildings. So the way that you find those buildings, if you don't just randomly fly across them, which you will, I always stop at them. The way you find them is you craft usually a number of bypass chips. Sometimes you're lucky and you'll get it on the first try, and sometimes it takes a few tries. But basically, go to these signal scanners, and you want to scan for a transmission. And what we're really looking for is a transmission tower. So you actually have to pay attention to what it says right here. Observatory detected. You don't want that. It's no good. At least for this reason. No, we need a transmission tower. So you want to continue to do this until you find a transmission tower. So like I said, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't on the first try. But there's your transmission tower. Now you want to go to that. Now you see how it actually says transmission tower when you look at it? Sometimes it only says shelter, so you really want to remember which one of these dots it is before you go there. But let's head to this transmission tower. Alright, now that we're here, the building looks exactly like what I already explained to you. It always has a tower on top of it, and it's always a single little building with a tower on it. Sometimes there's other buildings around it, but this one is not actually attached to any others. So we want to go into this place and go crack the code. These things always have some kind of a number pattern that you have to answer in order to find the distress signal. And one plus is, see that this is a GEC? If you are on a Gek planet, then you can actually answer the same question over and over and over. I found that is only on Gek planets, though. If you're not good with patterns, I guess you could just Google 153759, and then someone will have the last one. But otherwise, you just answer the pattern. It'll find a crashed ship for you every single time. Every time you're at one of these, you find another crashed ship. And if you are at a Gek planet, you can actually ask the same question over and over and over. Well, here, let's go do that. Let's go do that. You can actually sit here. It's literally the same question, so you just give it the same answer over and over and over. What's the answer? Is it 8? No, it's 7. And you could sit here and get 10 of them on your map and then go out and fly around and see them. So let's just cut to the flying around and seeing them part. It's really up to you on if you want to get out of the ship or if you just want to slow down and say, is this one that I want? But one cool thing is it's usually around your level or higher of your ship. So there's a good chance that it's going to have more slots than your ship currently has. The way I got my first maxed out ship was I literally did this and just kept going from crash ship to crash ship, and all you really need to pick one of these up and fly it to the next one is a little bit of zinc, iridium, and iron, and then plutonium just for your launch thrusters. But then you can continue picking them up over and over. Like, I'll go find 10 of these things and decide, I'll just grab the first one as long as it has more slots than mine, fly it to the next one, it'll have even more slots, and then repair it, at least just the launchers, the launch thrust and the pulse engine. And I would just keep repairing those 2 parts over and over and over. That way, I say over and over, on each ship you repair it, basically. What I'm doing right here is this one was further away, so this is my little trick to where it's not going to take you 5 minutes to get to it. You just go to outer space and then use your pulse drive to get to it quicker. Because it was saying it was going to be about 5 minutes. Well, this is a way to do it in like a minute maybe. Just go straight to it. But yeah, this is how you find crashed ships. So if there's a ship, in the solar system that you want that you saw at the space station, you're most likely going to find it if you go out and do this. Now, if you're not on a Gek planet, those transmission towers will only give you one crashed ship. Then you have to go find another transmission tower. So it takes a little longer. It's easier to find a solar system that has Gek in it and then go and do the same process. But yeah, that's how you find crashed ships, and that's how I got my maxed out ship after playing this game for hundreds of hours. I figured that little tip out. Let's move on to the next tip. This next quick tip will just help you out with finding zoology. Basically, finding every species of animal on a planet. If there's no animals, you can upload it anyways, and that counts as finding all animals on that planet. That will help you max out your planet zoology milestone, which you may need for this next and last tip that I'm going to have for you. Spoilers coming up ahead. So stop now if you don't want any spoilers. This last tip is how to get all Atlas passes. You're not going to get them all really fast. It still takes a little while, but this is how you get Atlas passes. You have to accidentally find a space anomaly while warping from solar system to solar system. You'll spawn in the solar system and see one of these awesome looking doodads, these space anomalies. What you need to do is go in here and talk to the 2 aliens that are inside. One of them, his name is Polo. He's a Gek, and after you've talked to him enough and actually completed all the journey milestones that he talks to you about, then he will give you an Atlas pass eventually. It will take a little while. You're going to have to go to way more than one of these things to get an Atlas pass, but that's where I got every single Atlas pass in the game, is from coming in here and talking to this Gek guy on the right. these things are just so cool looking. I always have to stop and look. But from talking to this guy right here is where I got him. Now, you will have to complete a lot of zoology, which I just showed you how to do that, and survive on an extreme planet. You have to get the journey milestone +7, or at least I did. I went ahead and got all journey milestones. But to survive on an extreme planet, you can't get back in your ship or the time resets. Remember that. So if you go to an extreme planet, don't get back in your ship or your time's going to reset. You can always go to your journey milestone menu and it'll tell you how much longer you need to survive for the next milestone. But if you get in your ship, the time's going to reset, and you might as well just not do that. But this guy right here will give you 3 choices usually. Resources to aid exploration, find a shortcut to the center, or find a atlas. Which I have actually lost that, and I can't figure out how to get him to show me where atlases are anymore. So that kind of sucks. But these things right here always have weapons in them every time. So that's always cool, except for I already have a maxed out weapon. I think mine looks cooler than most. That one's not bad looking, but I've seen it around. I've only seen mine once, and I'm going to keep mine. But that's it for my tips and tricks on No Man's Sky. I figure some of these tips may help someone. I really hope they do. I wish there was a video like this when I started on this game, but you know, you can't really, when I started on the game, you couldn't really look anything up. There wasn't, go to this planet to do this. No, you just have to figure it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it and tell me if it helped you in any way. And if you guys have any tips, let me know in the comments below. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.